Hello and welcome back to another episode of Mystery Red Reads. I am your host, Mystery Red, and this is me trying to get my act together. This is my disclaimer. This beta read and concrete is at the author's request. This video is for learning purposes. Today we're doing a beta read and concrete of a piece of original fiction. We are looking at chapter 3 of Remains by Ladybug88. I think it's Ladybugs, but I always call them Ladybug. So I will provide links in the description to my reads of chapter 1 and 2 of Remains. We are with Cecilia, who is looking for her girlfriend Felicia, who went missing in chapter 1. And in chapter 2, Cecilia's kind of taken it upon herself to kind of do some of her own investigating, and we really still know very little. There's someone, I think her name was Paulette, who was at, I guess, a safe injection site, I guess, where she was getting a treatment center, an outpatient, I guess, kind of thing. And she said that she saw Felicia, but I mean, I don't know how much I believe her, but she also described a man with a strange a tattoo that actually was apparently fairly common, because Cecilia followed that lead up and it kind of went nowhere for her because she didn't have enough information. And I don't know, I'm going to go into this and I'm nervous. I'm a little worried. I'm worried for Felicia. I'm worried what we're going to find out happened to her. I know it's not good. And I'm cringing inside at that. Good-naturedly, okay? But we are going to dive into chapter 3 as soon as my brain stops going, oh, I don't know. I'm worried about her. I don't know what happened to her. Okay. I want to say that, so in chapter 2, this whole thing came up where Felicia was spotted at this injection site, and Ladybugs did such a great job in chapter 1 of letting us know what kind of person Felicia was that I immediately did not even consider for a second that she would be at that injection site willingly. So whoever, this guy that was with her obviously forced her. And then it comes into play, why did he do that? Was it to get her high so he could control her? I'm just very curious as to what happened there. But Felicia was definitely not the type of person to, she seemed very happy actually with her life. She just wanted to spend the rest of it with Cecilia, who on the other hand was not quite as ready to commit. And they'd already been together for 2 years. So anyway, and that's interesting. Their relationship was interesting too. Okay, here we go. Chapter 3. The day after my conversation with Paulette, I called the Insight Supervised Injection Clinic and asked. My brain stopped because I don't think this is. I am wondering. I'm going to reread this line without this distraction in my head, but my brain immediately started wondering. I cannot remember in chapter 2 if. Okay, so it says Insight Supervised Injection Clinic. And what my brain is going, okay, I don't know, but Ladybugs will. If this is the formal title of name of this clinic, like if this is the formal name of this clinic, in which case I think each word is capitalized, and I feel like in chapter 2, I feel like it was all capitalized. I don't know. I'm just going to point out I wondered, and we're going to keep going. The day after my conversation with Paulette, I called the Insight Supervised Injection Clinic and asked to speak to Penny Palmer, the nurse Paulette had mentioned. May I ask who's calling? Said the woman on the other end of the line. I'm Cecilia with the Nurses Union. I'm returning Penny's call. She left me a voicemail with her direct line number, but some traffic noise interrupted it and drowned one digit. Penny's with a client, but I'll transfer you to her extension and you can leave a message. Would you be able to give me her number? My voice, weepy from thinking of Felicia, I launched into a pleading, melancholic tone. I needed to call back 19 other people by the end of the day, and it would save me so much time. I'd be really grateful. I'm not supposed to, but you sound like you need it, so I'll make an exception. Fingers clacked on keys before the woman's voice returned and recited a 604 area code phone number. Thank you so much. Before I could feel any guiltier for lying and abusing this woman's kindness, I hurried and hung up. I went to the Pacific Center Mall and used cash to purchase a prepaid credit card and a cheap phone with a SIM card I could add minutes to. Determined to conduct my own investigation, I felt unsafe using my real number in case whoever had harmed Felicia thought to come after me. Then I used the new phone to call the number the woman had provided. My brain is kind of wondering, okay, so I don't feel like, so far, Cecilia has not directly spoken with the police herself. Or if she has, we have not been privy to those interactions. We had the news bulletins kind of showing us the way in the last chapter. This is kind of just a reader musing. I'm kind of just throwing some thoughts out there. But I keep wondering, did Cecilia have an internal dialogue, like an internal conversation? At what moment did she decide she was going to pursue this on her own? Because it seems like she just kind of already was. And I understand her motivation to do so. I'm just wondering, like typically you would think there'd be like an interaction, a negative interaction of dissatisfaction with a police detective or something, like she's talking to them and she's just really fed up and frustrated with them and they're not getting the job done and they're not doing enough, and that feeling of dissatisfaction. And I'm kind of missing that. And I'm kind of wondering, did I miss it? Did I look it over in chapter 2? Did I miss over it? And did I forget it because I'm reading for other people? If I did, I'm sorry. I'm going to point out that I absolutely yes to her doing her own investigation. And she's already gone into action, which I respect. And she's kind of was already going into action, obviously, in chapter 2 when she started asking questions and following up on leads herself. I questioned that she didn't follow up on that boat lead because there was a mention of a sighting of her on a boat, and my brain is hung up on that. And then I was looking for an interaction between, like a conversation between her and a detective or something that would kind of propel her to decide formally that she's going through with this investigation. So, like, yes, she's made this decision, and I completely support her. I just kind of wanted a conversation that kind of motivated her to do so. Like, kind of, obviously the motivation of her girlfriend missing is enough, but at the same time, some kind of interaction with them that says that they're not doing enough. I have to do more. I can't just sit idly by. That kind of internal dialogue with the conversation, and I'd be completely 100% with you right this second. And I am like 98% because I want that little propeller. Almost, your call to action was her going missing. I don't know. I want that. I want that to help that transition, I guess. She's diving full force in. I don't know. Those are my musings. I'm thinking that, like, she made this, and I noticed it back in chapter 2, and I don't know if I think I wanted it then too, but I didn't say anything because I was waiting for it or thinking it was coming maybe. But now, we did have the news bulletins and we knew the police were looking into it, but there wasn't like a conversation with them. I also wonder if they are talking to Cecilia because they were only girlfriends. And so, like, legally, I don't know. I think they would talk to her, like, to get information from her, but I don't know if they'd talk to her about the case. Kind of like, I'm sure they're talking to her family, and Cecilia has gone to them. I don't know. All these musings. We're going to keep going. Let's see. And I don't disagree with anything she's doing either. Okay, let's see. She found her. Then I used the new phone to call the number the woman had provided. Here we go. Oh, sorry. Before I begin this line, the second word's an adverb. Okay. I'm going to omit the adverb and drop the N here, and I'm going to try to read it this way. A chirpy voice answered. Penny Palmer speaking. Miss Palmer, my name is Cecilia, and I'd like to ask you a few questions about my cousin, Felicia Sansugarescu. I don't know who that is. You may have known her under an assumed name, I said, recalling the news article. Felicia's been missing for nearly 3 weeks, and you've told the press you supervised her at the clinic. That wasn't me. I was told you saw her at Insight. Who told you that? Since I didn't want to add to Paulette's problems, I lied. One of your co-workers, whose names I promised not to reveal, and I can also keep whatever you tell me strictly private. I don't wish to cause you any trouble, only to find Felicia. Visits are confidential. Even if you can prove your family, I couldn't disclose anything to you. So you did just supervise her. I'm hanging up now. Goodbye. After a click, the line went silent. I went to Insight. Oh, reader thoughts. So if this woman supervised her injection, how could she not tell Felicia didn't want it? And this man came with her, like he brought her, unless Penny's like in on something, like doing something shady from within the clinic. Oh, I wonder. Okay, I gotta stay focused. We're gonna get more information. Gotta keep going. Okay. All right, so she hung up. I went to Insight, but as soon as I asked for Penny Palmer, a bald man in a floral shirt escorted me out while explaining I couldn't gain admission without being an employee or a client. Was the man with the heart and dagger tattoo a client or an employee? I stood by the former hotel again for an hour or so, hoping to catch Penny Palmer leaving, but I had no idea when she would, and they stayed open all night. It could be a long wait, and I couldn't call in sick one more day, so I gave up and went to work. After my shift, I parked my car behind my building and dropped my purse and main cell phone off in my apartment. Then nothing wrong with the sentence. We do have 2 my's in it, and it was a little bit long, so I kind of noted that it was long, but it read fine, and so I'm just going to keep going and just note that was a little bit long. Then I walked to East Hastings Street, carrying only my keys and the prepaid cell phone. Terrified about being in an unsafe part of town after midnight, I kept moving, up, down, and across the street, never taking my eyes off Insight's entrance for long. I tried not to attract attention to myself. I'm actually feeling kind of bad for Cecilia right now. I mean, like, obviously with everything going on, but at the same time, can you imagine just hanging out around this place that you know your girlfriend would never willingly be, and you're just waiting for anything to happen? I like how you're showing that she keeps going back, that she had to go to work, and now she's back again trying. She's not giving up. And I like that because I'm really getting caught up with feeling for her, what she's going through. At the corner, a woman in a stained t-shirt and a tutu skirt gesticulated bead necklaces rattling against her chest and an open umbrella held in one hand. I'm going to pause on that one. Excuse me. It seems like there's just a little bit too much of something. We might have a little too much of something. At the corner, a woman in a stained t-shirt and a tutu skirt gesticulated bead necklaces rattling against her chest and an open umbrella held in one hand. Okay. I think you could probably pare this one down. At the corner, a woman in a stained t-shirt and a tutu skirt with bead necklaces rattling against her chest opened an umbrella. I'm kind of, it says, and an open umbrella held in one hand. All right. I'm going to leave this one. I'm just going to point out that I think there's a little too much going on in one sentence. Unless you're trying to describe this woman as a big personality who's just, a bit much. If she's not important, some things to consider there, some questions to kind of ponder over, because I don't know who she is, and I'm going to keep going, and we're probably going to find some more information out. But there was just a lot. I like the stained t-shirt. I like the tutu skirt. I would pick either or bead necklaces if I'm going to talk about the bead necklaces, or if I'm going to mention the umbrella. I don't know. All right, I'm just going to do this. There's a little bit too much of something in the sentence. You might want to play with it. I'm going to keep going. A bearded man with his jeans hanging halfway down, oh my goodness, his exposed buttocks contorted himself and struggled to stand upright. Oh, we have all seen that. Okay, sorry. A short man in a parka walked toward me, a heavy energy about him, and I hurried across the street. Having had enough, I started to make my way home, but the inside door opened, and a woman matching Paulette's description of Penny Palmer, an old broad with a big nose, walked out. I followed her to a nearby parkade. Oh my goodness. Oh, she's stalking her. Oh, okay. When I tried to talk to her again, she yelled at me, her purse clutched under one arm and a tube of bear spray in her other hand. Spittle flying from her mouth, she threatened to call security if I ever dared come near her again. Okay, this is such a realistic reaction because if you're working at an injection site, you're probably a little nervous when you're walking to and from your car. I'm almost surprised that like a security guard or somebody didn't escort her. Honestly. Have you ever been in a situation in your workplace that some questionable things are going on? And I've had them directed at me, and I've been escorted in and out of my workplace. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised at that, but this is completely believable. And I think I would be jumping the gun too, just given her line of work. Good job there. We're going to keep going. Not to antagonize her further, I raised my hands in surrender and stepped back, slowly enough to memorize her car's license plate in the process. Then I turned away and went home. In the morning, I called VPD Detective Nicole Harris, who had worked on Felicia's case. Here we go. And recounted my brief encounter with Penny Palmer. Would the detective use the illegal bear spray possession to extract information? She promised to investigate and call me back. Interesting that it was bear spray and not mace. Mace is not illegal. I guess it could be in some places, but not that I know of. And where is she that the bear spray is illegal? That kind of gives me back to wondering where the locale is of the story. I think I pondered that in the last chapter too. I'm gonna let my brain to let that go. We're gonna keep going. These are all musings though. Let's see. She promised to investigate and call me back. Okay, here's the thing. I need a conversation with her, even if it goes nowhere. I need a conversation between Cecilia and Nicole, and I kind of need it sooner, almost back, like I said, before she's made the decision that she's going to do this by herself on her own. Because I have to wonder, typically you'd probably hear the same old line you hear in every detective show. Stay out of this. This is police business. We'll handle this. Please don't get involved. You need to just focus on your life and, all the patronizing things they tell you to stay away from it. Because I'm a little surprised that Detective Harris here did not tell Cecilia, don't do that again, and I will look into it and I will call you back. Okay, so you've got half of that here. The part that's missing is, don't do that. They would definitely be discouraging her from investigating on her own. That's dangerous, especially where she's going to do this investigation. I'm not at all telling Cecilia not to do that, but I know that Detective Harris would. So I feel like that, I completely expect that. Police are always like, let me handle this. Now, whether Cecilia listens to that or not, I side with her either way. Obviously, she's not going to. But I feel like she needs to be told not to be doing what she's doing. That's just my opinion and my thought. So I'm going to keep going. At the end of the week, I called her and she claimed to be still investigating and unable to share anything yet. So I texted Kelvin. Hey, do you know anyone with a cheap car GPS for sale? Oh my goodness. Kelvin. 19th May 2017, 11:22. Don't you have one? I replied, it's not for my car, followed by a smiley face. He replied with another smiley face, followed by, let me dig around and see what I can find. Hours later, he put me in touch with an acquaintance who had a used GPS for sale. Kelvin even rode along with me to the parkade and helped block the surveillance camera while I installed the tracker on Penny Palmer's red BMW. Ooh, Penny Palmer is driving a BMW while working at an injection site. Musing. Is Penny Palmer doing something shady? Because I'm All right, we're gonna keep going. I'm noting, reader musing right there. I'm wondering. I kind of thought she was anyway, but we don't have any evidence of that, so we're rolling right along. A couple of days later, I had the address of the North Burnaby townhouse she occupied with her son, Jerry Stallworth. Over the rest of the week, I cyber-stalked mother and son, going as far as creating fake Instagram and Facebook accounts under the name Lucinda Love Smith, a 20-year-old blonde with generous physical attributes and dreams of Hollywood. I even sent Jerry a follow and friend request as Lucinda. He accepted and followed her back, probably intrigued by the enticing pictures I had poached from a model wannabe. Thanks to a VPN, I placed Lucinda in San Diego, far enough so he wouldn't want to meet her in person. To my dismay, he typed back that he was born in Anaheim, where he had spent his first 5 years of life and where his father still lived. He even suggested we should hook up the next time he went to town to visit his dad. Since the farthest south I had ever traveled was San Francisco, I would have to work harder at sounding convincing. When he suggested video chatting, I lied that I had dropped my phone and broken the camera. A couple of days later, several hours VPN'd in, and a few visits to the Palmer and Stallworth neighborhood in Burnaby, I knew his history and habits. He liked hip-hop and anime, egg rolls and fried rice, and attended Simon Fraser University as a visual arts major. Jerry also said he had recently stopped playing video games, busy as he was with school. I'm going to pause. So it looks like we've only got some hints. I wonder if as to location, she said born in Anaheim. So I'm wondering if, it kind of made me wonder if she wasn't in Anaheim. Thanks to a VPN, I placed Lucinda in San Diego. So I'm still kind of like, obviously I'm getting California vibes here. So it's not rock solid, but I'm kind of musing, kind of getting an idea. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. Let's see. All right, so he recently stopped playing video games, busy as he was with school. Okay. Isn't Cecilia turning out to be quite the detective? All right. More importantly, he never showed online activity between 1 and 2 a.m., but reappeared shortly after. Okay, I immediately want to know, does this man, did she say what he looked like? Like, she said she knew what he liked. I'm just wondering, does he have a tattoo? I kind of want to know if he has a tattoo. I gotta get back to my spot. But I immediately started wondering if he had a tattoo because, you know. Okay. Out of curiosity, I dropped by his street one night after work and parked around the corner. Minutes after 1, he walked out of his house and got into the passenger side of a waiting RAV4 with tinted windows. Since I couldn't see the driver, I jotted down the license plate. The vehicle drove away only to drop him off at the next corner. He walked home, his gait more relaxed than before. Was the driver Jerry's drug dealer? In the morning, I still want to know if Jerry has the tattoo. Ooh, what is going on here? And then, if his mom's working at an injection site clinic, why doesn't he just go there? I mean, obviously she can't treat her own son, but I'm just saying. I don't know. Oh, so many questions right now. In the morning, I again called Detective Harris, and she told me the supposed Insight nurse had recanted Felicia's sighting, saying she must have confused Felicia with someone else. I asked... Oh my gosh, it scared the heck out of me. Okay, so now she's recanting her statement. Why did she ever say that she saw her in the first place? Was she hoping to get, like, reward money? I mean, what would be her motivation for saying she saw her, and then all of a sudden now she's saying she didn't? Oh, okay. I asked Harris to run the RAV4 license plate, which she placed me on hold for. Okay, would detectives do that? I mean, can you just ask somebody to run somebody's license plate and find out who they are? Is that a thing? I've never tried it, so I don't really know, but I'm wondering. And okay, and so Detective Harris is definitely not telling her not to look for Felicia. She's helping her. We need a relationship between Detective Harris and Cecilia. Yep, we do. I need to know the nature, the kind of like, I need a conversation, an interaction that sets the grounds, that whatever terms Detective Harris sets out for working with Cecilia, if they're working together on this, and why, at what point did she decide to accept Cecilia's help in this? There has to be a relationship built there. Okay, we're gonna keep going. When she returned, she said the plate didn't exist and that I must have written it down incorrectly. I knew I hadn't. Okay, so did she maybe tell her that she wrote it down incorrectly as a way to discourage her? Or is this just getting shadier? Something's up. So many things are going on here, and I'm just, okay. After work that night, I returned to the North Burnaby corner. Shortly after 1 a.m., Jerry climbed into the same gray. Was it gray? I thought it was blue. Oh, it didn't specify. Okay, and now. Okay, yeah, it didn't specify. All right. Why did I think it was blue? Anyway, we're going to keep going. I asked Harris to run the RAV4 license plate, which she placed me on hold for. Okay, I lost my spot. Here's the RAV4 again. After work that night, I returned to the North Burnaby corner. Shortly after 1 a.m., Jerry climbed into the same gray RAV4. Its license plate now changed. What? Oh, goodness. Okay, but how long are they gone? Did she say how long they were gone? I need to keep reading, but I'm suddenly having more questions. Like how long did she say he was gone? Okay, minutes after 1, he walked out of his house and got in the passenger side of a waiting RAV4 with tinted windows. I jotted down the license plate. The vehicle drove away only to drop him off at the next corner, so he's not in the car very long. He's getting high when he gets in the car. Literally, you get in the car and you're dropped down like a block away, and this is so weird. Okay. Where am I at? So now they've got a different license plate. So what is this car just driving around getting people high? I mean, okay. All right. You know what? They are creative, so we're going to go with this. When the passenger door opened for Jerry to get out, the gap showed a pair of hands on the steering wheel and the edge of what could only be a tattoo with a patch of red on the adjacent forearm. Far away as I was, the red could have been a heart, but just as easily could have been a strawberry or a bitten into apple. Was the tattoo a gang membership symbol? Was Jerry's dealer in any way associated with the man from the club? The man who had taken Felicia to Insight for opioid shots? At what point did they grab her? I'm just like, she was home when Cecilia left her, and it looked like she just never left. How did they get her? Okay, anyway, still going. Trying to focus. Since the driver had never powered off the engine, GPS tracking was out of the question. I had no alternative but to trail it. The RAV4 drove west on East Hastings until it turned left onto Boundary Road. By Adenac Park, it stopped and picked up a guy in an aviator hat and flip-flop sandals, only to drop him off at the next corner. The driver U-turned, drove back to East Hastings, and followed it west again all the way to a McDonald's just before the Pacific National Exhibition. At the parking lot, a woman got in and then out within a couple of minutes. The RAV4 continued driving west on East Hastings, and its next stop was in front of a building on Nanaimo Street. A man in a floral shirt and dark Bermuda shorts climbed in, and the car drove into the building's garage. I waited for nearly half an hour, but the RAV4 didn't come out. Did the driver live here, or was he or she waiting for me to leave? No, they're probably changing the license plate again. Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. They park it there for the night, swap out the plates, and go again the next day. The next day, I gave the RAV4's second license plate number to Detective Harris, and unsurprisingly, she once more declared it non-existent. I messaged Jerry Stalwart, but he hadn't replied by the time I returned to North Burnaby after work. The RAV4 never showed up, but Jerry came out of his house at the usual time and walked up and down the street. On the sidewalk, he took his cell phone from a pocket, dialed, and held it to his ear, his other hand gripping the back of his head. In the distance, his lips moved until minutes later he pocketed the phone, punched the air, and headed back to his house. The following night, the scene repeated, except Jerry walked faster, fidgeting, his hands shaking as he held the cell phone. After he finished speaking, he bent over at the waist and threw up on the sidewalk, gesticulating and mumbling to himself. He walked home and didn't leave again. Penny Palmer came home shortly after 2 a.m. Had the RAV4 driver stopped selling to Jerry because they had noticed me following the car from North Barnaby to the Nanaimo Street building? I went back to Jerry's street one more night, although I probably shouldn't have. Instead of making his usual phone call, he walked up to my car and knocked on the driver's side window. I locked the doors and rolled the window down by a couple of inches. "Can I help you?" He slurred his words. "I've been seeing you around a lot." A chill overcame me as I searched for something to say. Did he know I had impersonated Lucinda? I live a block away and couldn't find parking on my street. "How come I've never seen you before last week?" he asked, hands buried in his pockets. "Did Victor send you?" "Is that the guy in the RAV4? He raised both eyebrows. "Are you a cop?" I wish I could have laughed, but I felt scared, alone with Jerry in a poorly lit corner with no idea what he had in his pockets. "No? Do you think you could hook me up with the RAV4 guy?" "Hell no." Jerry turned and walked away. Halfway to his house, he glanced over his shoulder and shook his head. I rolled up my window, started the engine, and drove off and all the way home. Okay. So many questions, but this chapter read really well. It read really well. I was not distracted by anything. I was completely engrossed in picking up clues, asking questions, wanting to look around and make sure I had my information straight. I'm trying to remember it all. So no, it did everything you want it to do. I think it did everything you want it to do. This is a good one. It read well. I had like 2 lines I think I suggested something on. Lots of questions. Completely curious. Definitely would turn the page. Yeah. No. This chapter read really well for you. I'm very happy for you right now. Good job. Good job. All right, guys. I'm off to do another read. I'll see you guys next time on Mystery Red Reads.